Okay, so the remainder of this video is how I'm going to show you how to go about cleaning those spark plugs because they got fouled. Again, if you go to turn over your ski and you got a good hot battery, boom, it's going to fire right off. But if the juice is too low on that battery, it'll turn, but there's not enough power to kick the engine over. And what happens is your spark plugs get fouled. So when you get back to camp or wherever you're at or back to your house, you're going to have to clean those spark plugs. So that's what this video is going to show you how to do. Guys, if you got any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. I appreciate you supporting our channel and your interest in my trolling motor system. Keep watching for updates on that continuously. You all have a blessed day and enjoy this video that shows you once your spark plugs get fouled, how you can clean those instead of having to take them to a shop somewhere and have them charge you several $100s to do that. Rule number one, if your ski is dead and you're out there fishing with a buddy and your buddy's going to drag you in, they cannot tow you faster than 5 miles an hour. I was told by a sea-tow person that on the Sea-Doos, if you pull faster than 5 miles an hour, water will force its way into the intake and up into your motor, and so all of that pressure, you can't do it, so you have to tow in at 5 miles an hour, which is really, really slow if you're way out. When you're trying to start and your battery's dead and it's throwing all of that fuel into your cylinder heads, it's going to foul your plugs and it will not start. So when you get back home, what you're going to have to do is this is what we're going to show you how to do. Is we're going to show you today how to take your plugs out, how to get them clean. So let's get started. So the first thing that you'll notice is right here on top of your engine, it would be your left-hand side if you're sitting there, you've got these three covers that cover your spark plugs. Now this is a T30 bit, so you're going to take this T30 bit and you're going to pull these out, and do not lose these. Don't drop them down in the engine bay because you're probably never going to get them back. So be careful with them. Okay, now these ground wires right here, you just move out of the way, and these are, you're just going to lift. They're not notched in or anything. They're just a rubber seal, and you have to bend the back, and they just barely come out, but this flexes, and this will bend and come out, and this is what covers your spark plug. Again, it's not threaded, it's just pushed in there. I'll just do a little bit of twist just to help break the seal, and again, they just pop out. And then you get your third one, kind of give it a little twist, and it'll pop out, okay? Now, once you've done that, now what you've got to do is you've got to get an extension, and your socket is a 5/8. I do my extension with my drill. And guys, those of you who have worked with spark plugs, you got to be real careful not to break your spark plug. Get that seated, get them loose. Get them loose. All right, now they're loose. Now the next thing you gotta have is you gotta have a long pair of needle nose pliers. And you're gonna reach down, same rules apply here that you did with the screw. When you grab that, you make sure you get a good firm hold on it and don't drop it. And you pull these plugs out. Okay? Now you get those plugs pulled out, we'll clean those off here in a minute. Now what you want to do is you want to step up and you want to start your engine, and you want to try to blow some of this fuel out. So you'll see this fuel and stuff come right out. Kind of back that camera up because it's going to come out pretty high. Okay. You got some of that fuel out. Now, take your rag, knock it out a little bit. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to have you a little compressor. And just, you know, you all can buy these wherever you want. This is now part of our carry on all fishing trips. Went to Harbor Freight, picked up this little McGraw pancake. This was 60 bucks. Had to buy the hose, the fittings, and then this. This is like $5. And what this is going to do is this straw is going to allow you to reach in, and what you're going to do is you're going to dry those cylinder heads. So the air compressor came on, it was really loud, so we're gonna cut away from the video. We're gonna dry these out really, really good. I mean, bone dry if possible. If you got a big compressor at home and you're doing this at home, you can just flood it with air, get it bone dry. But this tank comes on so quick that what I'm gonna do is, while we're refilling our tank and it's going, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to clean your spark plugs. Hand me that red bottle, that red can. Okay, this right here is called electronic cleaner. Again, you can get it at any home auto store, O'Reilly's, whatever. You're gonna spray a little bit of that in there, okay? And you're gonna clean these, and this dries really, really fast. It's basically probably got acetone or alcohol in it. Dries really fast, and that's gonna clean anything that's down in that spark plug. And then what I do is I've got some 2000 grit sandpaper, and I just kind of bend that over a couple of times, and I just slide that through there just a couple of times to polish that up. Now that spark plug's ready to go. We're gonna break away. I'm gonna clean the other ones to get these aired out, and then we'll put it back together. Okay, we're back. I sprayed these with that electronics cleaner and ran a little bit of sandpaper just to polish it up, and also clean the tops. So all three of these have been cleaned. I dried this out, guys, several times. I typically use the blue shop towels, but we're staying at a B&B right now down here in Corpus, so we don't have them. But use this when you blow that moisture out. Use this, a blue shop towel, shove it down in there, and then pull it out with your needle nose pliers, and you're just drying the inside of that. A lot of that, when you blow that in there, that moisture is going to come out. All right, so drop those in there. Now here, for sure, you do not want to have your drill attached. You just take your extension off, and you want to get those started and get those seated down like that by hand. Then hand me that ratchet. And now with your ratchet, you're just going to go and you're going to tighten that back down. And when you tighten down the spark plug, it's just kind of snug. Don't go real hard. You'll twist one off, and then it'll be a nightmare for you. All right, so now let's get these other two put back in. All right, now you're going to put these back on. Now there's all these zip ties in here, and that's kind of what makes it hard to get in. You just kind of have to finagle these around, bend that little rubber piece on the bottom, and then they'll slide in there. You have to be a little aggressive with it. You shouldn't have to be too aggressive. Sometimes this oil thing's in your way. You can pull it up, make it a little bit easier. And then you'll push those all the way down. Make sure they're seated good. You don't want any gaps in there. Make sure you don't have any zip ties or anything hanging out in the way. Push that down. Okay, you take these 3 screws, one at a time, carefully, by hand, push those in there and get them started. And make sure they're in there. You can't lift them up. Make sure they're good and started. Again, you don't want to come put your drill on this and get these cross-threaded. You will be very sad. Get them started with your hand, then you can pull on them and they won't come loose. That means you've got them threaded in. Get them lined up. Again, they're all seated. Get your star bit. Now again, when you tighten these down, if you can't run this drill nice and slow, don't do it. Just do it by hand. Just kind of slowly crank those in, and just a little bit of tension. Okay, now these are reseated and they're in. Okay, this is the moment of truth. Doesn't start, you're going to start all over. Do it again. Okay, so we're back for take number 2. Again, really dry these off good, and let's see if this will fire up this time. Ooh, sounded good. Getting closer. What Joe's doing right now is he's hooking up the hose. He's turning so the water's coming out. Because once you get this started like that, you don't want to kill it. Joe is happy. Now we can go fishing. Hey, just real quick, a shameless plug. I don't even know if you can hear me. We're staying at a place here in Corpus Christi. Carl is the owner. And he brought us out a plate of fruit, all kinds of stuff. So he gets 6 stars. Okay, guys, so we're back. Everything worked out. Again, if you're doing this at home and you've got a bigger compressor, I can't stress enough how to get those cylinder heads really, really, really dry. Again, this is a small tank. We had to go through it several times, but again, if this is something you're carrying with you to a B&B, you know, you can't carry a 100-gallon, tank with you. You just got to be patient. We were probably a little impatient that first time, didn't get it dried out good enough. The second time we did. So again, this is going to be a problem you're going to run into. Okay, so after doing some research and some looking around, what's happening is when your battery goes down, it's a result of you not running your engine. What typically happens when you fish is you'll fish one spot for 10, 15, 30 minutes, an hour even, and then drive over to another spot, do the same, and then repeat that all day long. Well, your jet ski has what's called a stator, S-T-A-T-O-R, and when your engine is running, it helps rebuild your battery. Now, for the newer model skis, for the 22s, 23s, and 24s, you have a 2-battery system. Now, your chart plotter and your live well are hooked up to that secondary battery. So what's supposed to happen, hypothetically, is you're going to draw down on that battery, but it doesn't draw down on your main battery. So what would happen is when that second battery goes down, your live well would go off, your chart plotter would quit working, but you can still have your main battery. This is what we've run into, and if someone knows different, feel free to leave it in the comments. When your key is in, and what that does is that keeps your display and your chart plotter thinking and running. And what I believe is that when you leave that key fob in, into your jet ski plugged in, that's actually running down your main battery as well. So what happened to us in both of these situations, my ski is a 21 model with 1 battery. Joe's is a 22 model with 2 batteries, and they both went dead one day right after the next. Mine went dead one day, and the next day his went dead, so we had to tow each other in on 2 occasions. On both of those occasions, we were on fish in one spot that was so hot. I mean, we fished 5 or 6 hours nonstop, and we never started our skis. We never pulled our key fobs either. And what I believe is that caused my main battery to run down, and it also caused Joe's main battery to run down enough to where it wouldn't start. Your battery will still have energy in it, but it won't have enough to turn it over. So as a result, what happens is you try to start, and it fouls your plugs, floods your system, and it won't work. If you think about your jet ski, typically what happens is every time you try to start it, it's boom, and it starts right up immediately. I think what happens when that battery gets low, it doesn't start immediately, and it floods the system, fouls the plugs. So when you get home, you've got to go through this process of cleaning your spark plugs. As far as I know, that's maybe what's causing that issue. And again, it has nothing to do with our live scope. It has nothing to do with our trolling motor. What I have now is I have a larger chart plotter. It's a 126 SV made by Garmin. That runs to a whole different system. My single battery that runs my ski isn't hooked up to anything but my ski. And now when I park somewhere, if I pull that key fob out, I don't have to worry about after a certain amount of time my jet ski and my chart plotter just going off because there's no communication. So my chart plotter, all my electronics run off a whole different system. You all can hook yours up any way that you want to. Just giving you a little bit more information on trying to help you keep from being stranded because possibly your key fob was in too long or you're in one spot fishing too long. If you are in a spot and you're like, hey, I know I'm not moving here for 4 or 5 hours, what I would suggest is about once an hour, turn your ski on, let it run for about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, and shut it off. If you're moving from place to place, I wouldn't even worry about it. But if you are like, hey, we're on the fish, we're not going to be moving for a long time, go ahead, put your key fob in about every hour, let it run. I know that's annoying because you're sending wash down into the water, but better to have that run for 5 minutes once every hour or so than to wind up having a ski that will not go anywhere.